Welcome back to the Deep Dive, powered by AFDV. Today, we're setting the stage for, well, a truly unique and, I think, incredibly insightful discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different from our usual deep dives into articles or trends.
We're moving beyond analysis this time. What we have for you today is a lot more immediate, quite raw, and frankly, pretty vulnerable.
That's right. For this deep dive, we're taking a significant departure. I promise you, this is going to be a deeply personal and, well, unfiltered story.
Okay.
This particular deep dive comes directly from our founder, Alioune Faye, and it involves a very recent real-time business challenge that actually unfolded just last week.
Just last week, wow.
Yeah. The rawness and immediacy of this situation are, I think, precisely what make it so profoundly powerful. It's not just, recounting a mistake after the fact.
Right, it's happening now.
It's a real-time, unfolding look at what it truly takes to build, and maybe even more importantly, to rebuild trust online.
That rebuilding part is key, isn't it?
Absolutely. I anticipate this will be a significant aha moment for many of you out there, especially anyone grappling with their own business credibility or trying to navigate, the complexities of establishing a trustworthy digital presence.
Or even just understanding that tricky dance between compliance and, well, how people perceive you online.
Exactly. It's a minefield sometimes.
Okay, let's unpack this. This isn't just theory. This sounds like the kind of real-world lesson that really hits hard. The kind that can genuinely reshape how you think about your whole digital strategy.
It definitely feels that way.
You've spent a lot of time with Alioune's initial account of this. Can you set the scene for us? What was the exact moment that really kicked this whole thing off for him? What triggered this big realization?
Absolutely. And the start of this whole situation is just, it's remarkably impactful because it's so relatable, I think.
Okay.
Alioune was in a client meeting just a few days ago. Picture this. Sitting across from a potential client, that moment filled with the usual anticipation of maybe a new partnership forming.
Yeah, you're hopeful, trying to connect.
Exactly. But then she said something that literally stopped him cold. A sentence that just, it reverberated with this unexpected force.
Oh, wow. What did she say?
She looked at him directly and very bluntly just stated, "I'm just not sure I trust you yet."
Oof.
Straightforward.
Yeah. You can really feel the emotional weight of that single sentence, can't you? It wasn't just a comment, it felt like a revelation. Like a sudden blinding spotlight on a critical flaw in his business approach.
A blind spot.
A profound blind spot that he hadn't fully recognized or, addressed. The air must have just gone out of the room.
"I'm just not sure I trust you yet." Wow, that's not just a gut punch. That sounds like a professional existential crisis in miniature right there.
Totally.
Especially after all the years of hard work, the dedication, the quiet competence he's clearly demonstrated. It's so easy to assume your reputation precedes you or that, your good work speaks for itself. Precisely. And he describes it as this visceral feeling of having neglected to proactively tell his own story. Despite years of dedicated work, meticulous strategy, flawless execution, consistently delivering results for clients.
All the important stuff behind the scenes.
Right. But this comment forced him to confront a crucial misunderstanding he'd had. He realized he had been confusing being private and, let's say, discreet with being professionally transparent and, importantly, publicly visible.
Ah, that's a key distinction. Privacy versus transparency.
Exactly. He realized he hadn't actively, systematically asked for client reviews. Think about that. He hadn't published a single case study to showcase AFDV's impact.
No proof points out there.
None. He hadn't consistently told AFDV's journey, its successes, its story in a public-facing, compelling way. And this profound silence, he came to understand, it created this expansive vacuum of doubt.
Leaving potential clients to fill in the blanks themselves.
Right. And as we know all too well in the digital age, if there isn't a clear, compelling, consistent narrative, people often default to suspicion or questions or just a lack of confidence. They wonder.
They wonder and maybe assume the worst or just move on.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating here, and I think makes his experience so universally applicable, is Alioune's background. It's extensive. His resume details over 8 years in SaaS implementation, digital marketing, complex systems integration.
So not a newcomer.
Not at all. He's moved through roles from engineering, intricate business development, even frontline sales. He founded AFDV Marketing back in 2018. So we're not talking about a rookie mistake,
Right, he's seasoned.
Absolutely. Yet even with all that deep experience and technical acumen, he inadvertently overlooked these foundational elements of building public trust. And that just makes his realization even more powerful, I think, and incredibly relatable.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? Anyone, no matter how seasoned or successful, can harbor these crucial blind spots that ultimately impact their bottom line, their growth.
It really is.
You really hit on something essential there. Confusing privacy with professionalism. It feels like a classic entrepreneurial trap. So many of us instinctively shy away from what feels like, I don't know, self-promotion.
Yeah, it can feel uncomfortable.
We hope our work will just silently speak for itself. But in today's crowded digital landscape, that often seems like a recipe for invisibility, doesn't it?
It really does. You have to put yourself out there.
And that profound realization, that gut-wrenching trust gap comment, it didn't just stop him in his tracks, obviously. It propelled him into immediate action. He was determined to fix it, to proactively build that public credibility for AFDV.
Yeah, he wanted to address it head on.
And that's precisely where he took a step that ironically led to an even bigger challenge. What was that immediate, well-intentioned step he took, and what was the business and regulatory context around it?
Well, his first, and honestly perfectly logical step for any Canadian business owner who's genuinely committed to ethical operations, was to ensure AFDV's marketing communications were fully compliant with Canada's anti-spam legislation, CASL.
Ah, CASL. Right. Important but notoriously strict.
Exactly. For those maybe less familiar, CASL is one of the toughest anti-spam laws globally. It's designed to protect consumers from unwanted electronic messages, and it requires businesses to get consent, identify themselves clearly, and provide an easy unsubscribe mechanism.
Standard good practice, really.
Yes, but crucially, one of its fundamental requirements is that all commercial emails must include a valid physical address for the sender.
A physical address. Okay.
And this isn't just a suggestion, it's a legal mandate.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
So it's not just about being polite online. It's a critical component of transparency and accountability. It lets recipients verify who you are and where you're based. A standard practice for any legit business, you'd think.
Exactly. But here's the practical challenge, especially for a modern remote-first Canadian agency like AFDV Marketing. As Alioune's resume clearly indicates, AFDV has been operating successfully as a fully remote entity since it was founded back in 2018.
Right, no traditional office.
No brick-and-mortar space. So to diligently meet that specific CASL requirement for a physical address, a requirement really rooted in a more traditional, physically present business model, a virtual office seemed like the answer.
Okay, I can see the logic.
He found one located in Toronto, and it seemed like the perfect solution. It offered a legitimate-looking, prestigious commercial address in a major city. They have the crushing overhead of physical rent, utilities, dedicated staff.
All the costs you avoid being remote.
Precisely. It seemed perfectly aligned with his remote operational model and his desire to project a more established image. And the allure of a virtual office for a remote business is genuinely undeniable, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, totally. Professional address, mail handling, makes you look bigger, more stable, perhaps.
Right. It checks a lot of boxes on the surface.
So, okay, on the surface, this move was entirely consistent with his desire for public-facing credibility, compliance, and, enhanced transparency. He was proactively trying to tick all the right boxes to shore up that trust gap he'd just become acutely aware of.
He really was trying to do the right thing.
Yet this well-intentioned action inadvertently set him up for a collision course with another powerful platform's strict rules. This scenario just perfectly highlights the incredibly complex, often contradictory web of regulations and platform policies that businesses, especially digital-first ones, have to navigate.
It's a minefield.
Often without even realizing they're treading into dangerous territory until, well, boom, it explodes.
Precisely. His intentions couldn't have been more honorable, genuinely driven by a desire for legitimate growth and compliance. But the devil, as is almost always the case in these intricate digital ecosystems, was lurking in the often overlooked details.
The fine print.
The fine print that can be so easily missed in our fast-paced, digital-first world. We just click agree, don't we?
We really do. Okay, this is where the story truly takes that unexpected turn. And frankly, it's a trap I can see many remote businesses easily falling into.
Definitely.
Alioune, thinking he solved one problem, CASL compliance, inadvertently creates another one with Google. He signs up for this virtual office, updates his Google business profile, probably feeling a genuine sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, okay, progress.
Thinking he's both fixing the trust gap and ensuring CASL compliance. But then Google, in its, let's say, omniscient digital way, steps in. Let's dive into the core technical misunderstanding here. What exactly did Alioune miss about Google's policy? Why is that distinction so crucial?
This is an absolutely critical point, and honestly one that many remote businesses or even those with hybrid models might overlook, potentially to their peril.
Okay.
Google has very specific, very explicit guidelines for what actually qualifies an address for a Google Business Profile listing, a GBP
Like
listing.
that profile that shows up in Maps and Search.
Exactly. Alioune had signed up for what he thought was a legitimate, comprehensive solution, basically. A simple mail forwarding service that provided a street address. However, Google's policy clearly, unequivocally states that for an address to be eligible for a GBP,
Yeah.
it must represent a staffed physical location where clients can actually be received during stated business hours.
Staffed. So someone has to be there.
Yes. And it also typically requires visible permanent signage outside the premises and actual staff on site to interact with customers if they were to show up.
Okay, so a P.O. box is definitely out. But even a sophisticated mail forwarding service that gives you a suite number in a real office building, that's not enough.
Not enough for Google's GBP rules, no.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't represent a true physical presence where a client could genuinely walk in, sit down, and interact with the business face-to-face during regular operating hours.
Ah, it's a distinction of function, not just form. Can customers actually meet you there?
You've nailed it. It's fundamentally about demonstrating a genuine, verifiable, physical point of contact for customers. A place where business actually happens in a tangible brick-and-mortar sense, even if it's, say, a co-working space you rent daily and staff during hours.
Right.
The virtual office Alioune chose, while seemingly perfect for mail and projecting an image, simply didn't meet Google's stringent criterion for a public-facing customer service location.
And he just missed that detail.
He, like countless others probably, hadn't meticulously read the fine print on either side. Neither the mail forwarding service's specific terms, which might have even warned about GBP issues, nor Google's own comprehensive and, let's be honest, often intricate policies.
Which can be pages and pages long.
Exactly, and dense. This isn't just a common trap, it's like a chasm waiting for remote businesses. A seemingly small detail in the terms of service, easily overlooked or maybe misinterpreted, can lead to disproportionately significant and immediate consequences.
It's a clash of definitions, isn't it? Where legitimate address for CASL becomes deceptive for Google's GBP.
Precisely. That's the crux of it.
That's a crucial distinction and, frankly, quite sobering. And the business implications of making that kind of mistake? They're absolutely massive, aren't they? A Google Business Profile listing isn't just some nice-to-have digital entry.
Not at all.
It's an indispensable asset, especially for local SEO and for instilling that immediate client trust. It directly impacts your visibility in local searches, your perceived legitimacy. Losing that listing. It's like losing your main storefront on a busy street, but in the digital world.
It absolutely is. And think about this. When your Google Business Profile gets suspended, you're not merely losing a directory listing. You instantly vanish from Google Maps.
Gone from the map.
Gone, which is often the very first place local clients, especially for service area businesses like AFDV, looking for providers. You also disappear from that coveted local, those top 3 business listings that pop up under the map in Google search results.
Prime real estate.
The best digital real estate. For service area businesses, where direct client visits might not be the norm, but local visibility and perceived proximity are absolutely paramount, this is an existential blow.
It cuts off leads immediately.
It means a direct, immediate, and often severe drop in organic leads. There's zero virtual foot traffic anymore, and there's an almost instantaneous perception hit where potential clients literally can't find you.
Making them wonder if you even exist, or if you're still in business, or if you were ever legitimate in the first place.
Exactly. This kind of digital disappearance can quickly unravel all the hard work you've put into building brand awareness and trust. It's devastating.
And that brings us right back to the emotional core of this whole story. Alioune was trying so hard to build trust, to be compliant, to be seen as legitimate, and instead he gets hit with this devastating suspension. What was the immediate emotional impact for him when that email landed? Describe that moment.
Oh, the immediate emotional impact was immense.
Yeah.
Just a visceral shock that hit him really deeply. He describes receiving that dreaded email from Google, the one announcing the suspension for deceptive practices.
Just reading those words.
Imagine the scene. Alioune, having just taken this proactive step, maybe feeling a genuine sense of accomplishment after updating his profile, probably thinking, Right, there's another critical step done. The trust gap is starting to
They're not
close.
even good about it.
Then this terse, likely automated subject line pops up. Maybe something seemingly innocuous at first, before revealing that chilling accusation. Account suspended for deceptive practices.
Oh,
It wasn't just about losing a listing. It was a profound personal blow to his integrity, his professional reputation. He literally described feeling the blood drain from his face, like a cold pit forming in his stomach.
I can picture that feeling.
All that careful effort to build trust, to be transparent, to ensure CASL compliance, instantly reinterpreted, by an algorithm no less, as an attempt to mislead. The emotional whiplash, the feeling of being wrongly accused when your intentions were the complete opposite. It must have been immense, deeply deflating, incredibly stressful.
Yeah, it chips away at your confidence, makes you question everything you thought you were doing right.
Totally.
I can only imagine that feeling of being labeled deceptive when your entire goal was transparency. It's just agonizing. And this is so incredibly relatable, isn't it? Especially for so many entrepreneurs out there. It's not just Alioune.
Not at all.
I'm certain there are countless remote business owners or maybe folks navigating complex compliance landscapes in various industries, perhaps even those Alioune himself has consulted for, like implementing CRM or CMS for small businesses, who could easily make this exact same error.
Absolutely. It's a powerful testament to how easily even seasoned professionals can miss a crucial detail.
Yeah.
And think about the types of businesses AFDV often works with, or that Alioune has consulted for in the past. Registered Canadian immigration consultants, RCICs, language schools, nonprofits.
Sectors where trust is paramount.
Absolutely paramount. For these organizations, navigating regulatory environments is just part of the daily reality. They often operate with lean teams, rely heavily on digital tools, and might outsource certain admin functions, maybe including getting a virtual address.
So the potential for misinterpretation is high.
Incredibly high. It's so easy to misinterpret platform guidelines or just assume that a service provider's offering, like a virtual office, fully aligns with all the external platform requirements you might need it for.
You assume the vendor knows best, perhaps.
Right? And this vulnerability that Alioune showed in bravely sharing this story while it was still unfolding, it's so vital. Because it powerfully reinforces that even founders with extensive experience, project management, digital marketing, business development, engineering background, sales, managing ventures.
A really diverse skill set.
Exactly. Even with all that, you can still make fundamental mistakes, especially when regulations from different platforms or legal bodies don't perfectly align or seem contradictory.
It's a profound reminder that we all, regardless of our expertise, have blind spots, and that the digital landscape is far more complex, far more treacherous than it often appears on the surface.
It really, really is.
Okay, so once that initial shock, that gut punch, started to wear off, once the realization of the magnitude of the mistake fully sunk in, what was the very first thread Alioune pulled to try and unravel this? Where do you even begin when Google flags you for something like deceptive practices?
Right. What's step one?
Yeah. What's the latest update on this situation? What immediate corrective steps did Alioune actually take?
Well, as Alioune states pretty clearly in his blog post, there's a mantra for any crisis, isn't there? Panic doesn't solve problems.
Easier said than done sometimes, but true.
Definitely. But despite the immense pressure, he immediately took swift, honest, and decisive action. The very first thing he did was correct the error. He reverted his Google business profile back to what's correctly termed a service area business.
Okay, explaining that.
Right. This is the appropriate and compliant setup for a remote company like AFDV Marketing. It correctly hides the physical street address from public view, which was the problem area, but it still allows the business to define and serve customers within a specific geographic area.
So for AFDV, that would be Toronto and the GTA.
Exactly. It accurately reflects their operational reality without trying to claim a physical storefront they don't actually have for walk-in clients.
So instead of trying to force a physical address that wasn't genuinely client-facing, he adjusted his profile to accurately reflect AFDV's legitimate remote model. That feels like a crucial distinction, embracing authenticity over a potentially misleading perception of physical presence.
Absolutely. Honesty in the profile setup. Once he made that fundamental correction, he then promptly submitted a reinstatement appeal to Google.
Okay, the appeal process. How does that work? Is it just a button click?
Oh, definitely not. It's much more involved. This appeal process involves providing comprehensive documentation. Stuff that thoroughly proves the legitimacy of the business.
Like what kind of documents?
Things like official business registration documents, maybe
Hmm.
utility bills associated with the business owner or operations, proof of domain ownership, things that establish you're a real operating entity.
Gotcha. Verifiable proof.
Exactly. And crucially, the appeal also requires clearly and honestly explaining the mistake you made, owning it completely. You can't try to fudge it.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Yeah.
And you have to outline the precise corrective actions you've already taken to bring the profile back into full compliance. It's really about demonstrating to Google that it was an honest error, a genuine misunderstanding, not intentional deception.
And that you've diligently fixed it according to their explicit guidelines.
Right. It's basically a formal plea for a second chance, but backed up by concrete proof and, importantly, integrity.
And this whole situation is still very much in real time, isn't it? As he bravely wrote about it, shared it publicly, he was, at that very moment, still waiting for Google's decision.
Yes, that's absolutely right. When he penned that incredibly candid blog post, it had been, I think he said, 11 hours since he submitted the appeal.
Just 11 hours. That must have felt like an eternity.
He described the wait as excruciatingly nerve-wracking, which makes perfect sense, right? Your Google business profile is, as we've discussed, such a critical digital asset for local SEO, for client acquisition, for maintaining public trust.
It's huge.
To have that vital asset completely out of your control, essentially held in limbo in Google's hands, it creates immense anxiety for any business owner. It's a period just filled with uncertainty where the fate of a key component of your online presence hangs by a thread.
Mm.
You just don't know.
That feeling of critical business assets being entirely out of your control. It's genuinely terrifying. It's a vulnerability that can send shivers down any entrepreneur's spine, I think. But this also powerfully highlights the non-negotiable importance of taking swift, honest, and meticulously documented action when you do make a mistake. It really seems like the only viable path forward when you're faced with such a severe platform suspension.
Trying to hide it or find a workaround is probably not going to end well.
Right. Rather than attempting to hide the error or find some dubious workaround or maybe blame external factors, you just have to own it and fix it.
It really is. This situation profoundly underscores a broader, non-negotiable principle of business integrity and, frankly, crisis management. Owning your mistake is the indispensable first step. It requires humility, maybe swallowing some pride, and definitely courage.
Yeah, admitting fault isn't easy.
But then taking immediate, decisive, and transparent action to fix it, to actually roll up your sleeves and meticulously correct the error, is the second equally crucial step. It's not just about compliance checkboxes. It's about demonstrating an unwavering commitment to doing things the right way, even when you've stumbled.
It shows character.
It reveals profound character, not only to an automated system like Google's review process, but perhaps more importantly, to your team, your clients, and anyone observing your business practices. It's like a public declaration of accountability. We messed up, we fixed it.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit now, because this entire experience, while undeniably tough and, yes, humbling for Alioune and AFDV, it offers some truly invaluable, universally applicable lessons for any business owner, large or small, really in any industry.
Yeah, the takeaways are significant.
This is the critical "so what" for your business, the actionable insights you can maybe implement starting today. Let's start with the first lesson, which circles right back to Alioune's initial trust gap revelation: transparency. What did his experience teach us, perhaps in a more nuanced way, about the absolute necessity of transparency?
The lesson here feels crystal clear, but putting it into practice is often the challenging part, isn't it? Transparency is unequivocally non-negotiable, but it extends far beyond just being honest when asked.
It's proactive.
It has to be proactive. It means you must proactively tell your story, consistently and strategically. This means, yes, enthusiastically sharing your successes and achievements, absolutely, but also bravely owning your mistakes, your learning curves, and the whole journey itself, just as Alioune did here in real time.
Warts and all.
Warts and all. Because silence, as he learned the hard way, doesn't convey professionalism or quiet confidence. It breeds suspicion. It creates ambiguity. If you, as a business owner, don't proactively control and shape your narrative,
Someone else will.
someone else, or in this case, a platform policy interpreting your actions, or lack thereof, through its own lens, will define it for you. And often, it won't be in a way that serves your brand or builds credibility. You lose control.
He talked about that confusion again, confusing being private with being professional. Which, as we noted, feels like such a common, almost instinctual pitfall for many
It
entrepreneurs.
really does.
People often think they're being discreet or humble or simply focusing on the work, but they're actually creating this narrative void, this vacuum of doubt around their business.
What do you think are the deeper psychological barriers that lead even seasoned professionals to fall into this trap? Why is it so hard to be proactively transparent sometimes?
That's a really crucial question, and I think the psychological barriers are multifaceted. Firstly, there's often an ingrained perfectionism, isn't there?
Definitely. Fear of looking bad.
Right. Many entrepreneurs feel that if their story isn't a continuous, uninterrupted string of triumphs, it's somehow not worth telling. Or that admitting a misstep undermines their expertise. There's a real fear of judgment.
Understandable.
Secondly, there can be a genuine desire to protect internal processes or maybe even trade secrets, which can inadvertently spill over into an overcautiousness about any public sharing, even things that aren't sensitive.
Drawing the line too tightly. Exactly. Thirdly, for many people, humility is a core value. And active self-promotion, even just sharing successes, can feel immodest or somehow disingenuous. They genuinely believe their results should just speak for themselves.
The build it and they will come fallacy, perhaps?
Perhaps. But the harsh reality in the digital age is that if you don't actively and consistently shape your public story, including your journey, your learning curves, your evolution, and yes, even your inevitable missteps, the internet, or worse, maybe a competitor with a louder, clearer narrative will define you.
So this isn't about bragging.
No, it's not about bragging. It's about strategic narrative control. Think about how many truly exceptional businesses out there are effectively invisible or maybe misunderstood simply because they've mistaken humility and focused execution for effective public communication. They're doing great work, but nobody knows.
That resonates deeply. It really is about being the author of your own story, not letting others or algorithms write it for you. So, for our listeners, thinking practically, what are some concrete, actionable strategies for proactive transparency that go beyond the obvious, be honest?
Okay, beyond the obvious, I think proactive transparency involves a few key strategies. Firstly, embrace the behind-the-scenes narrative more. Share glimpses of your team, your process, your company values, maybe even some of the challenges you overcome. It humanizes your brand.
Makes you relatable.
Exactly. Secondly, maybe create content pillars around common customer questions or industry insights. Position yourself as an educational resource, not just a service provider pushing a sale. This builds authority and trust organically over time.
Adding value first.
Right. Thirdly, foster internal transparency too. When your own team truly understands the company's vision, its struggles, and its wins, they become much more authentic brand ambassadors naturally.
They believe in it too.
Yes. Fourthly, implement a consistent content calendar. Actually plan for sharing updates, insights, and stories across various platforms, your blog, social media, maybe email newsletters.
Yeah.
It's about showing up consistently and authentically, not just when you have a big win.
Building that rhythm.
And finally, crucially, when a mistake does happen, like this one, address it directly, transparently, and swiftly, just as Alioune did. Turn a potential crisis into a testament to your integrity and your commitment to improvement.
Owning it publicly.
Owning it publicly.
Yeah.
This builds a reputation for honesty, which is arguably more valuable long-term than a facade of perfection.
Powerful. That makes perfect sense. Okay, moving on to the second critical lesson, one that Alioune learned in a very, very tangible way. Compliance. This isn't just about playing by the rules, is it? It feels much bigger than that. It's about safeguarding your entire operation.
You've hit on something so essential there. Compliance is not merely your responsibility as a business owner. It is an absolute foundational pillar of modern business operations. And neglecting it can have truly catastrophic consequences.
It's not optional.
It's not optional. This is a tough but utterly essential lesson from Alioune's experience. Platform policies like Google's intricate GBP guidelines and federal laws such as CASL in Canada, they are not just suggestions or recommendations that you can skim over.
You can't just tick the box without reading.
No. They are meticulously crafted legal and operational mandates that must be understood, meticulously adhered to, and importantly, regularly revisited because they change.
Ah, they change. Good point.
As Alioune discovered the hard way, you must read the fine print, and you have to try and interpret it correctly within your specific context. Ignorance is absolutely not a defense in the eyes of the law or these powerful platforms.
They don't care if you didn't know.
No. And as we saw, that ignorance can instantly, brutally shatter the very trust and credibility you're working so diligently to build. One wrong move based on misunderstanding can undo years of work.
And the consequences, as you mentioned, are far from trivial, aren't they? It's not just a polite warning email you might get. It can be an immediate, often devastating operational hit.
Not at all trivial. The consequences of non-compliance can be as immediate and severe as a complete suspension, leading to the instantaneous loss of critical digital assets like a Google business profile listing, maybe an active advertising account, or even a social media presence you've spent years building.
Everything you rely on for visibility and leads.
Exactly. Think about the immense effort, the time, the financial investment that goes into building that online presence. It's not just a slap on the wrist. It's a direct threat to your business's viability in many cases.
And Alione's experience just perfectly illustrates this incredibly complex, interconnected web, doesn't it?
It really does. This web of digital regulations. His initial, perfectly valid intention was to be CASL compliant by getting that virtual address, but that inadvertently led him to violate Google business profile policy.
Trying to do the right thing by one set of rules, he accidentally broke another equally important set.
Exactly. It illustrates the labyrinthine, sometimes contradictory nature of digital governance that businesses operate under today. The key takeaway here has to be emphatically urging listeners to regularly and proactively review the terms of service for all the platforms they use.
All of them, not just the main ones.
All of them. And crucially, to seek expert legal or compliance advice when dealing with complex or ambiguous regulations. Never just assume you understand it fully. Verify.
Especially with things like data privacy rules.
Oh, absolutely. Data privacy regulations like GDPR or CCPA, advertising platform policies which change constantly, even industry-specific certifications or rules. The digital landscape is constantly shifting. What was compliant yesterday might genuinely not be today.
So proactive auditing isn't a luxury.
It's an absolute necessity for survival and sustainable growth.
Such a powerful and frankly often overlooked point. It really is the difference between having a solid foundation under your business and basically building on digital quicksand.
Well put.
Okay, let's talk about lesson number 3. Visible proof. It's one thing to say you're trustworthy and effective in your marketing copy or sales calls. It's an entirely different and far more powerful thing to show it through the voices of others, right?
Absolutely. The third lesson, and really a cornerstone of building enduring trust in our, let's face it, pretty skeptical digital world, is that visible proof builds undeniable credibility. While engaging conversations are excellent for building initial rapport, whether in person or virtually.
They're necessary but not sufficient.
Exactly. In a world saturated with information and endless choices, things like testimonials, glowing online reviews, detailed case studies, these are the absolute currency of trust. They function as powerful social proof.
They tell potential clients.
They tell potential clients, hey, don't just take our word for it. Look at the tangible results and the enthusiastic endorsements from other real people, other real businesses who have experienced our work firsthand. It breaks down that barrier of skepticism.
And Alione's initial oversight here was starkly clear, wasn't it? As he admitted.
Yeah, I never asked for reviews. I never published case studies. I never told our story. This omission created that insidious trust gap precisely because there was no public verifiable evidence of AFDV's great work. There was no external validation for what was internally a highly capable and effective operation. The proof wasn't visible.
So it's clearly not enough to just hope clients will spontaneously offer testimonials or reviews. You need to build a deliberate, consistent system to actively ask for them, and then just as importantly, leverage them strategically.
Exactly. It's about moving from passive hope to active acquisition and utilization of that proof.
So how do you do that without being annoying or pushy?
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need to be proactive and systematic, but also respectful. For listeners, the practical application here is to actively seek and then prominently showcase client successes across all your relevant digital touchpoints, making it an integral, non-negotiable part of your post-project or post-service workflow.
Embed it in the process.
Embed it. This means having a clear process. Maybe a polite, well-timed email request for a review after a project milestone or completion. Perhaps a simple feedback survey that includes an option to provide a testimonial. Or even offering to do a more in-depth interview for a full case study, which benefits both parties.
Making it easy for them.
Making it easy. And then, crucially, once you have that precious proof, use it. Don't just collect it and let it sit in a folder. Feature testimonials prominently on your website homepage, on service pages, share positive reviews on social media, create dedicated case study pages that detail the client's problem, your specific solution, and most importantly, the measurable results achieved.
Quantify the impact.
Quantify the impact whenever possible. This is something AFDV is now fully committed to doing, really understanding its vital role in overcoming skepticism and building that lasting public trust online. These public affirmations are what truly bridge the gap between your internal claims and the external perception. They provide that undeniable third-party validation that moves prospects from maybe being interested but skeptical to feeling confident in choosing you.
It's like a continuous feedback loop, isn't it? Each piece of visible proof reinforces your credibility and attracts more trust.
Exactly. It builds on itself.
Okay, that leads us pretty seamlessly into the fourth and final core lesson from this experience, and one that feels particularly relevant to AFDV's mission and its specific client segments, the idea that focus creates deeper trust. In a world that often seems to reward being a jack of all trades, why is specialization or niching down so critical for building trust?
This is such a profound lesson, I think, and it really cuts across nearly every industry. It's particularly poignant in today's hyper-competitive and incredibly specialized landscape. By intentionally niching down, by consciously committing to serving a very specific client segment with deep, tailored expertise, you aren't just specializing your services.
You're doing more than that.
You are fundamentally positioning yourself as a true, undeniable expert in that particular field, in that specific world. And expertise, especially specialized, deeply understood expertise, is a non-negotiable prerequisite for earning profound, lasting trust.
Because you get them on a deeper level.
Precisely. When you genuinely understand the unique challenges, the specific regulatory nuances, the industry jargon, the deeply felt pain points of a particular client segment, you're not just offering generic marketing solutions or generic advice. You're offering tailored, insightful guidance that demonstrates a level of empathy and competence that a generalist simply cannot match. They haven't lived in that world.
So, thinking about AFDV's target audience, again, registered Canadian immigration consultants, RCICs, language schools, nonprofits, these are sectors where trust isn't just a marketing advantage. It feels like the very bedrock of their entire operation.
Absolutely. It's almost existential for them.
So for these professions, this specialized focus is incredibly important.
Incredibly important. For these types of organizations where trust is the absolute foundation of their work, I mean, think about the incredibly sensitive, often life-altering nature of immigration consulting. Clients are literally entrusting their futures, their families' futures, to that consultant.
The stakes are incredibly high.
Or think about the mission-critical, community-focused work of nonprofits that depend entirely on public confidence and donor trust for their very existence. For them, generic, broad-stroke marketing or working with someone who doesn't get their world simply won't suffice. It might even damage trust.
It misses the mark.
It misses the mark.
Yeah.
So when AFDV explicitly states, we're not just marketers, we're partners who understand their specific challenges. That deep industry knowledge isn't just a catchy phrase on a website. It's the core differentiator. It's what builds immediate rapport and fosters that profound confidence.
It shows commitment.
It demonstrates a commitment and an understanding that goes far beyond surface-level marketing tactics. For an RCIC, for instance, finding a marketer who actually understands IRCC guidelines, the typical client journey from initial inquiry to application to potential approval or refusal, and the strict ethical constraints of their profession. That person is instantly more trustworthy than someone who just promises more leads generically.
They speak the same language.
They speak the same language. For nonprofits, it means understanding donor psychology, the importance of grant reporting cycles, how to craft compelling impact storytelling. This specialized understanding means your advice is more relevant, your strategies are more effective, and ultimately, your partnership is far more valuable and trust-based.
And the broader implication here for really any business, regardless of their specific niche, seems clear. Demonstrating specialized understanding and an unwavering commitment to a specific client segment fosters much stronger, more resilient trust than a broad, generalist approach ever could.
You simply cannot be everything to everyone and genuinely expect to build deep, foundational trust with anyone specific. It's a dilution of credibility, isn't it? You spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, it feels like trying to be vaguely relevant to many instead of deeply essential to a few.
Absolutely. A generalist might get you some initial attention, maybe even a few quick wins here and there. But an expert, a specialist, builds lasting trust, enduring loyalty, and truly becomes an indispensable partner to their clients over the long haul. It's about depth over breadth, precision over generality. Trust comes from that depth.
That makes a lot of sense.
And if we connect this all back now to the foundational mission of Powered by AFDV, which is, at its core, really all about empowering entrepreneurs to build sustainable, ethical, and thriving businesses.
Hmm,
This tough experience, while, yes, incredibly humbling and challenging for Alioune personally,
no doubt.
it profoundly reinforces our unwavering commitment here to transparency, to authenticity, and to delivering genuinely actionable, real-world insights. It's not just about sharing carefully curated success stories that make everything look easy.
Which isn't reality.
No, it's about being raw, being real, and being honest about the struggles, the missteps, and the hard-won lessons learned along the entrepreneurial journey. Because that's where the deepest learning truly happens, for us and hopefully for you listening.
That's a truly crucial point, and one I think listeners will deeply appreciate. It's often those real-world struggles, the missteps, the moments of uncertainty, and the resulting learning curves that are far more valuable for listeners than just hearing a seemingly endless parade of flawless success stories.
Because those perfect stories don't always feel achievable, do they?
Right. These authentic moments, these struggles, they equip people to navigate their own inevitable challenges with greater resilience and maybe a bit more foresight. It's an acknowledgement that the entrepreneurial journey is rarely, if ever, a straight line upwards.
Precisely. And for AFDV's core audience organizations like RCICs, language schools, and nonprofits, these lessons around trust, transparency, compliance, proof, and focus are especially critical. It's almost a matter of survival for them.
It's foundational.
It's foundational. For these organizations, a trust gap isn't merely a marketing problem or some minor inconvenience. It can actively undermine their entire operation right from the ground up. It directly impacts their ability to attract and retain clients or service users. It directly affects critical funding opportunities and donor relationships, and it profoundly shapes their public perception and reputation within their communities.
The stakes are just higher.
The stakes are fundamentally higher. For them, trust isn't a bonus or a nice to have, it's absolutely existential. So sharing this journey with all its bumps, its moments of confusion, and its diligent corrections, hopefully makes the principles of trust and transparency far more tangible, more urgent, and more applicable for everyone listening. It's our way of showing that we truly try to walk the talk, even when it means being vulnerable and admitting that we, too, are still learning and growing every day.
What an incredible deep dive today, just filled with such immediate, practical, and yes, deeply personal lessons. This kind of honest, real-time sharing, the willingness to pull back the curtain and show the sometimes messy reality of entrepreneurship is precisely what Powered by AFDV is truly about, isn't it?
I really believe it is.
It's about dissecting real stories, real challenges, and offering genuine, actionable insights, not just those theoretical success strategies that always look so perfect on paper, but rarely match reality.
It really is.
Yeah.
And transparency, as we've discussed, it isn't just a corporate buzzword or some marketing slogan you slap on your website. It's a living practice. It's a profound commitment to vulnerability and truly a continuous evolving journey for any brand that seeks to build authentic connection, including AFDV itself.
It's ongoing work.
Ongoing work. It's about being willing to open up and share the entire process, the intentions, the missteps, the corrections, and the learnings, not just the polished, perfect final outcome. And I think that builds a deeper, more resilient kind of loyalty and connection in the long run.
I agree. So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, perhaps provocative thought for your own reflection. What hidden trust gaps might be silently, unknowingly eroding credibility in your own business right now? Where might you be confusing privacy with professionalism?
That's a powerful question.
And following on from that, what is your very first, most proactive step towards embracing this kind of radical transparency and fortifying your brand's foundation of trust? It's a question that Alioune faced head-on just last week, and it's one we all, as business owners or leaders, need to courageously consider for ourselves.
And on that note, we want to extend a really heartfelt invitation for you to join us on this ongoing trust-building journey. Alioune's request in his candid blog post was simple and incredibly heartfelt. He said, if we've worked together in the past and ADV made a positive impact on your business, I would be incredibly grateful if you would share your experience.
A simple ask.
A simple ask. And we want to echo that sentiment directly to you, our listener. We genuinely encourage all of you, if you've benefited from AFDV's work directly, or maybe from the insights shared here, or even just from this deep dive into real-world challenges today, please share your feedback, your thoughts, your experiences.
It helps close that gap.
It really does. It might feel like a small act on your part, but it genuinely helps us, and frankly, it helps everyone listening now. and those who will discover us in the future, as we continue to diligently rebuild and close that trust gap for good. You can easily find us online to leave your reviews and share your valuable thoughts.
Your voice matters in this.
It really does. Thank you so much for tuning in today, for being a part of this unfolding story, and for being such an integral part of our community. We look forward to connecting with you again on the next Deep Dive.